As you entered tonight, you saw on the screen, as well as displayed over there, and on your tables right now, on the front page of the packet, are 3 quotes from our members. One is a Facebook post from a member who received support from TBA Cares. Another is whose husband is hearing. Another is an email from a new member following a welcome dinner with the board. And the last is an email that Rabbi Stern received from an ELC parent. If you haven't read them yet, I highly recommend you do before the night is up. Each one of these reflects the impact of TBA, but none of them are about a large program or service. They're not about a massive effort to engage people. They are about small actions, simple check-in, a shared meal, an email, that made a big impact on someone's life. This is who we are. Our success is measured not simply by the number of people who show up, though this is a wonderfully healthy number of people in the room, but by the depth of our experience and the connections we feel as a result. I know I just said that the numbers aren't what's important, but it does tell a little bit about our success. So first of all, you may be wondering on the right if this is the same 200 people coming to things, right? They're not. 60% represents a little over 450 people. So 450 adults in our congregation have come to something other than the High Holy Days that we've been able to track. So how do we track that? Through Shul Cloud, which generally you know as the way that you pay, also allows us to do some data tracking and participation tracking. So every time you register for an event, including tonight, it tags you in a category. And that allows us to see patterns among our members and how they are engaging with Beth Avodah. It tells us what programs resonate, what we might need to adjust, and who may be feeling disconnected from our programming and not feeling like they're being served. It gives us tools to target our outreach for those who've expressed interest in a specific kind of program or connection in the past. It's not a perfect system, as Mike Zakin can tell you, who's our data guru, but we can use this information to help us understand our program planning and our outreach efforts. At our last program planning meeting, I asked the people in the room to share about a program that they went to this year that they enjoyed or found meaningful. I asked them not to share what the program was because they didn't feel like the content necessarily mattered, but why that program resonated with them. And a few different themes emerged from that conversation. The first one is that it had a goal. Maybe the goal was harvesting vegetables to donate to a food pantry with the garden club, studying the weekly Torah portion, putting on a massive musical production. Having these shared goals transforms a collection of people into a community. Second, it fostered connections. How many people in this room were at the men's event on Monday night? Because I know there are several. So, this week we had our 4th men's event this year after years of sort of trying this or that moderately, maybe one event a year, and we found an enormous amount of success in these events and the buzz that's created by that. I'm going to go the other gender for a moment. How many women in this room came to the women's retreat? So this group of women, after that retreat, decided they didn't want to end with that retreat and are planning to continue those connections and those deeper conversations together. It met your needs. At any given point, you might need to laugh, to cry, to think, to celebrate all at once or separately. Perhaps you needed comfort in hard times and found it in a Shabbat service, or you deepened your knowledge at an online adult learning series. Or maybe you just wanted to have a good time and you came to Purim and were part of the over 300 people who came to either the carnival or the mixology event. You felt like you mattered. I suspect if you're in this room right now, you feel in some way like you are contributing to Beth Avodah. It's why you're here, because you care deeply about it. A couple months ago, we had a Families with Young Children Shabbat, and they were making bags and collecting toys for Room to Grow. for our youngest congregants to learn from us that their actions matter is a precious gift that we can give to them. And lastly, food. I know, it's shocking. But as I shared on Sunday at Shavuot, in Judaism, nourishing our bodies with food is just as important as nourishing our souls and our minds with Torah. None of these moments of meaning and connection happen without people who take the time to strategize, to plan, to show up and make an impact. If you are a member of the board, on a committee, a task force, if you volunteered for an event, if you would just stand up for a moment. There's a lot of you in this room. If you lead a small group, I see someone shaking their head who leads a small group. Thank you, on behalf of everyone in this room, for all of your contributions. If you're a member of the outgoing executive committee, would you please stand up? Okay. Do you want me to call your name? Jeff? Outgoing. You're still, I mean, you're outgoing. Yeah. If you are on that executive committee now, so Dave, James, who am I missing? This group of people takes a little extra time to show love and care to the TBA community and to think about what we need in the broader perspective. I want to particularly thank James, who I believe the other day said to me, I think I make your life harder and easier at the same time. I think that's true. But I am so incredibly grateful for our partnership and our friendship, particularly in the past few weeks, but all year as well. And I'm grateful to you. And I think you can stop making a joke about us impeaching you, because it's not going to happen. Right. Of course, there's another group of people who deserve our admiration, praise, and gratitude. Our incredibly talented and hardworking staff, and I want to take a moment to recognize each of them. One of the remarkable things about Rabbi and me is that beyond both having messy desks, we are pretty different. Those of you who are familiar with Myers-Briggs, he's an ENFP and I'm an INTJ. That could be a recipe for conflict, but in truth, these differences mean that we fill the gaps for each other. Where I fall short, he rises, and when he needs help, I'm there. Our partnership is profound, and through it, we're able to bring our best selves to serve the congregation. I'm deeply grateful to the set of people who make sure the trains run on time. Jenna, who couldn't be here tonight, makes sure that all the small things happen and prides herself on ensuring people feel well taken care of on the staff and in the congregation. Doug does everything from walking on the roof, which terrifies me, to going in the depths of the basement cellar, to traipsing through the trees on the property. His relationships with our vendors, including security, ensure that we can actually occupy our building. Without Eileen, we would have no pictures, no centerpieces, no emails, no videos, no candy, which would probably be better. The list goes on and on. But more than the things that she does for TBA, I am particularly appreciative of her good counsel. When I need someone to give me a reality check or tell me what I could be doing better, I know I can rely on Eileen's partnership. Alexa is our jack of all trades. She does everything from managing Rabbi's schedule, to preparing for programs, to subbing in the ELC, to making sure Rabbi and I drink enough water, to making sure I do push-ups when I set up in the tuba. The list really goes on and on. She has become an integral part of our team, and I am grateful for her presence. Rebecca has the unique position operations team and our education team. Her work in operations is not glamorous, but it is crucially important to making sure our bills and people get paid. One of Rebecca's gifts is her calming presence in crisis, which is an essential trait in working with small children, and one that we could not do without. Gabby serves our ELC with laughter, dedication, and amazing organizational skills. One of my favorite parts of Gabby is that there's no BS. She's reliable, honest, and fiercely committed to our kids and the temple. In a moment, I'm going to invite up Heidi to honor our education team members who are leaving. 20 years ago, I came to TVA as the youth educator. I was working with teens and Heidi with preschoolers, and yet we became professional partners. In no other synagogue did the early childhood and teen professionals work as closely as Heidi and I did in those early years. While Heidi is most passionate about early childhood, she is equally dedicated to the success of TVA overall. She stepped up to lead K-12 when we needed her to. She helps with adult programs, comes to services online every week, and generally shows great care for every aspect of TVA. Heidi, thank you for all that you do, including picking out these wonderful gifts for our
Before Becky gives the more formal presentation, I just want to say what a joy and honor it's been to work with Eva and with Hannah, even for this short time, and with Stacy for many, many, many years. So even though Stacy is not physically here every day, we joke that at some point she comes to visit us because she's been here a number of times. So just thank you all for all the work you've done, and it's just been such a joy to work with each and every one of you, and I just wish you so much luck on your new adventures.
So Hannah joined our team just a year ago, and in her short time, she demonstrated her willingness to jump in and help, her focus on parent communication, and the depth of her Jewish knowledge. Hannah, we are sad to see you go, but wish you well on your next steps. So you want to come up? For many of you, myself included, Stacy was your child's preschool teacher. For over 20 years, she cared for our youngest congregants with compassion and love. As evidenced by the 12th grade graduation speeches, the ELC has an enormous impact on the lives of our students, and you have been a big part of that. In the last few years, you've continued to follow these students as they've entered religious school, helping them learn and grow into their teen years. We are grateful for your work at TVA, and even more grateful that now you're just a congregant, so you get to hang out. Lastly, Eva, only because that's how the alphabet works. For 3 years, Eva has served in what we call a Frankenstein job. This is no easy task. Working in the ELC in the mornings, and the teens at night, and on the weekends is exhausting. And yet Eva has done it with such care and love for students of every age. Eva has championed the idea of the third space, somewhere where kids feel safe and loved without the pressure of other aspects of their lives. We are deeply grateful for her connection to our kids, and we are excited about your upcoming adventures and hearing about them when you come back to visit. As we say goodbye to a few staff members, we're also welcoming some new people. Joining our education team is Rebecca Kahn as our Director of K-12 Education. She's currently serving as the Director of Teen Programs at a JCC and is eager to join us in August after she returns from a Teen Israel trip. I want to thank our search committee, Sarah Dretchen, Mike Zakin, Alyssa Gusnoff, Josh Miller, and Michelle Spitzkoff for their hard work on interviewing several candidates to ensure that we had the right person. We're still in the process of interviewing candidates for an assistant K-12 educator role that may be filled by one full-time person or 2 part-time professionals to begin in late August. We're excited to have these new members of our education team who will bring their own creativity and passion to our programs. At the end of June, we will welcome Cantor Gabe Snyder. He wanted to be here tonight, but he is en route from Maryland to Boston and then back to Maryland tomorrow morning. Felt like a little much. So he will be joining us for Shabbat on June 27th with Rabbi Stern for our last in-person Shabbat of the year before the summer. Cantor Snyder will be our first ordained cantor, and you may be wondering why that matters. In short, he made the choice years ago to be a clergy person. As he'll tell you, initially he was going to be a rabbi, but his love of Jewish music and the way it speaks to his soul nudged him towards the cantorate. After spending years in school learning, he extended his internship by a year to serve as the cantor educator last year, running the religious school, teaching adult education, and leading services. He's eager to come to TVA and to get to know our community better. It takes a particular kind of person to work in a synagogue. So another round of applause for Adam. And 3 times as a moderate to talk to James. So if you've been wondering why I haven't been answering on the first ring lately, that's why. I want to shift to talking about membership. Most of you, hopefully, because you read your email, most of you are here, you probably read your email, saw this chart on the left that shows our growth in membership over the past couple of years. And I want to talk for a little bit about the reasons why and how that looks as we break it down. So pre-2023, which is the time that we changed our membership model, we were flat or having a decline for a variety of reasons. Most of those reasons were not unique to us, but are a little more global. So I like to say that COVID did not cause any resignations. It simply accelerated ones that were probably coming within the next 5 years. So there was a dip in COVID because of that. People who were sort of on the fence decided that that was the moment they were going to resign rather than years later. Along with that, those of you who read things outside of the Jewish community know that there are declining rates of affiliation to synagogues nationally. That is not unique to us, it's not unique to the Northeast. It is across the board that people are not choosing to join synagogues as much. We could get into why, that's a whole other conversation I'm happy to have at another time. There are fewer Jews who are in our immediate area. Those of you who have older children who went to Memorial Spalding would be shocked at the percentage of Jews in the Memorial Spalding classes now. It is fewer people in this immediate area, and for a synagogue that for a long time largely pulled from our immediate area, it means we've had to rethink who we are because there are simply not as many Jews in this area. And with that, there's a large number of synagogues in our area. When we fill out these applications, like for a new cantor or a new educator, they ask for the number of synagogues in, whatever mile radius. I'm like, a lot. I don't want me to count them, I don't know. But not only are there synagogues, but there are non-synagogue programs as well that continue to emerge in small groups that are wonderful for the continuity of the Jewish people, not so great for synagogues. So in 2023, really leading up to 2023, looking at all these trends, we said we need to think differently to help change the trajectory of our membership. And that is where the new membership model came in. And often we think of that model as a financial model, but really it was a larger model to think about the way we interact with our members, to lower barriers for new people coming in, to keep people who are potentially going to resign, keep them staying instead. It might mean that they pay less, but they're not leaving the temple. and it gives us an indicator that there might be more outreach that's needed for them. And with that is also intentional membership strategies, the board members reaching out to different members, the way that we do name tags, or how we track our data and reach out to people to come to events or just check in with them. We have had 93 new households since 2023, which is an amazing number. It is a common misconception that those new households are all people with kids. And you can see on the left that about half of them are people with kids coming through our ELC or our religious school. We have a growing population of people who do not have kids and are in their 20s and 30s and early 40s. A couple of those people here tonight, which we've never had before, really. And then people who are older or don't have kids who are joining in search of community. So you can see on the right here, there's all sorts of reasons why people join. We often have returning people who grew up here, but 20% of our members are new. So if you think that you don't know somebody in a room, it might be because they're new in the past 2 years. And as we look at resignations, we know that some of those new members decide that this isn't the right community for them. That's not new, that's not unique to this model, that has always happened, and so we expect some attrition of new members. So our resignations, we've had 40 total resignations, so significantly less than our new members. And not surprisingly, the largest group of people are people whose kids have sort of aged out of our system. And we know that, again, not unique to us, that is across the board in synagogues as a time where people are questioning whether they want to stay members of the synagogue, and so it's on us to really engage them before that moment in time to feel like the synagogue is important to them. The biggest reason that people resign is that they don't feel connected. They might not feel connected and join another synagogue locally. They might feel connected and not feel connected and not go anywhere. So those numbers overlap, but that is the biggest reason, is that people don't feel connected. So the question is, what do we do with that information? And we can study the data and analyze it all we want. We can sit in a room and talk about strategies, but there are real things that everyone in this room can do to help people feel more connected. And if you're in this room, it means to a certain degree you feel connected. It's as simple as inviting someone to come to an event with you, or talking to people who are not members, or people who are former members who may have felt disconnected and might be looking for a way to engage back in. It's volunteering with our new members, with TBA Cares, to reach out to people. We have a congregant who needs a ride on Monday. On Monday, needs a ride to a doctor's appointment because she can't drive right now because of an illness. So if anyone wants to volunteer, talk to Ellen and myself. But we have real needs in our community, and the ways that we stand up and we reach out to people matter in the way that they feel connected to the temple. And the last one is really simple, is just talking to people at events. And I don't mean just talking to the people you already know. Remember that 20% of people are new, and even the not new people may not always feel connected. And being able to approach someone, that's the idea of the name tag, so if you think you might know their name, you can look at their name tag, is a really important way that we are able to connect together and to make people feel like they are more connected. I'm gonna pause there and see if there's any questions about membership that anyone has that either I addressed here or I didn't. Yes, Eric.
Do you think that this is a similar thing that's going on in churches and other houses of worship?
Great question. The question was, is this similar thing going on in churches and other houses of worship? I don't know enough about churches and other houses of worship to know. I think that there certainly in COVID was a resurgence of people kind of trying to connect and find religion. You're nodding your head yes. I'm curious if you have an answer to that, Mike. But I don't know.
Some of the Pew research does indicate the same across. Again, I'm not like as fully versed there, but this is a trend going on in religion in general. Yeah.
Oh, he said yes, this is a trend going on in other religions as well. Any other questions? If not, I think that's it for me. This is a long talk.